today's video, we are going to look at something called safety data sheets. And the reason we're going to do this is because we're going to use these safety data sheets to figure out how we know if a substance we're using is safe or not. And we can use these safety data sheets to see if a substance that we use in our classroom or our lab is safe, but we can also use these safety data sheets to see if something that we use at home is a safe substance to use as well. So the safety data sheets look a little bit like this. They're actually pretty long. They're usually somewhere between 8 and 10 pages. At the very top, it's going to tell you what substance you're looking at, so hydrochloric acid in this case, and then there are 16 sections, and those sections are sort of highlighted by these gray boxes. So let's take a look at the different sections that you're going to see in a safety data sheet. So like I said, there are 16, and we're not really going to focus on too many of them. We're only going to focus on 3. So the 3 sections we're going to look at will be hazards identification. We'll learn a little bit more about what this is in a moment. We're going to look at toxicology, so that's where you're going to see your LD50s, and we're going to look at ecological information, which will also let you know what the toxicology or the toxicity of the substance is in water environments. Let's take a quick look at a safety data sheet. So we're going to look at the safety data sheet for hydrogen peroxide, one of the solutions that you're going to be looking a little bit more closely at in our next activity. So like I just mentioned, on a safety data sheet, there are 16 categories, and the categories are identified by these gray boxes, and you'll have a number next to them. So we're really just going to be focusing on 3 different categories. The first is the hazard, so that's going to be category 2. And what you can look for in the hazards are just these icons. So there are different hazards associated with different substances, and this is just a really quick picture to tell you what those hazards are. So this particular icon means it could cause fire or an explosion. This one means it could cause some irritation or issues with your skin, and this one means it's bad if you swallow it or inhale it. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll down. I'm going to go past all these other categories. We're not really going to spend too much time. If you're interested and want to dig into them a little bit more, feel free. So we're going to go down to number 11, which is the toxicology information. So this is what we're really interested in for right now. So basically what you're going to look for is a table. So we can see we've got hydrogen peroxide. We can see the LD50 oral dose, the dermal dose, and the LD50 for inhalation. So these are going to be the important numbers. If you look in parentheses, it tells you what animals these numbers were determined from. The next category we're going to look at is the ecological information. So in general, when we're looking at how a substance affects the environment and other living organisms besides humans, the main categories of organisms they look at are freshwater algae, freshwater fish, and the water flea, which is sometimes known as the water monkey or Daphnia, but it's a little critter, the little tiny crustacean that lives in the water. And so these are the numbers that you're going to look for to see what the toxicity information is for affecting water organisms. Now that we've had a chance to briefly look over a safety data sheet, your next steps are going to be actually to get those safety data sheets in your hand, and we're going to go ahead and evaluate the safety or toxicity levels of 3 different substances that we use commonly in our classroom. Isopropyl alcohol, methylene blue, which is a blue liquid dye that we can use to dye things so we can see them better, and finally hydrogen peroxide. And again, by looking at the safety data sheets for these 3 substances, we are going to decide, are they actually safe for us to use in the classroom?